Welcome to another exciting episode of Boldly Beyond Limits, where we share untold stories of resilience, courage, and triumph. Today, we have an exciting guest with us, Jahanvi, whose untold battle with multiple disorders is truly gonna take us for a ride and leave us with our jaws dropping. Welcome, Jahanvi. Thank you for joining us and sharing with us your courageous story about how you battle multiple disorders and face them still today. So, first, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, why you think you wanted to share your story on this platform, Boldly Beyond Limits?
Yeah, so basically, I researched about you to be very honest. That's what I do all the time. And I was really inspired that there's someone there who's talking about disorders, especially mental health disorders, which are often not visible to people. These are very invisible disorders and they're never talked about. And then I met you during Purple Fest and I was so drawn to you because of how expressive and unabashedly you were yourself. Actually, also you made me feel very comfortable and safe within few moments. And that I find is very hard to achieve with anyone, for me especially. So I was then when you asked me, I was very excited to have this opportunity for the same cause that we both believe in.
So I just want to tell our viewers and listeners that you are a mental health advocate yourself. Yeah. You are a researcher, which is very inspiring on social issues such as human trafficking and other mental health issues. But let's start right away with some of the problems, issues, disorders that you face. Let's go one by one. And tell me how you're still overcoming them, and how it manifested in your childhood. How you knew that you were had this problem.
So I think to be very honest, I was not aware that I had mental health struggles until 6 or 7 years back. But since beginning of my childhood, I felt like there's something different about me. I couldn't fit in with the groups or in the school or in the daycare. I just couldn't fit in. And I thought there was something wrong with me because I would never be invited in the groups. I would always be, they used to call me tomboy because I would dress very comfortably. I would not have the traditional girls, play with Barbie. I would prefer sports rather. I was a sports person and I preferred that. So it was very challenging for me to just fit in. And I was a very lonely kid. I liked to be beside me. And I started self-harming since a very early age, though I was not aware I was harming myself.
Yeah. So let me just cut in. Can you tell us what is self-harming?
Yeah. So for me, what I've realized is self-harming is a way where you induce any form of danger on your body or your mind or your emotions in which you think you are controlling the situation. It gives you a false sense of a control. Like when I'm self-harming, when I try to self-harm and would just pick up my skin, let's say, or would just make some scratches on my skin. So it would give me a sense of control because all the anger that was pent up inside me, I couldn't take it out anywhere. Because I was always made to feel very guilty for who I was. And I was not even aware that there's something wrong with me because it was not diagnosed. It was never in the news. It was never in the papers or in the, textbooks. So I was like, I'm the weird one. I'm the abnormal one. So I started self-harming a lot since the childhood. That was my way of escaping, basically, to have a control. Okay, I can't control all these people who are talking to me or who are giving me this kind of treatment. But maybe I can live self-harm. I had that 5 minutes of calm, okay, for 5 minutes, I'm in charge. That is
okay. So self-harm is, I understand self-harm is usually physical.
Yeah.
And that you use self-harm to feel a sense of control over situation or your emotions or what have you. So I also want to take you back a couple of minutes when you said that you were a very lonely child, and you were left out a lot. Now that's how I was as well, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't I haven't suffered the same mental challenges as you. So like a lot of kids are, are tomboyish, are part of the clique, right?
Yeah.
So what and are different, right? But what differentiated you from saying that, okay, I have something is in my mind that people don't usually have?
I think I was blunt, to be very honest. I don't know how to mask my emotions. I'm very honest person till date, and I'm very blunt. And even during that time when that solo thing was not very popular, now we travel solo, go on solo dates. I would go on my own because for me having the experience was more important than having the group of people. And I was very choosy. Choosy no matter, like I would not be friends with you for benefits. If I'm your friend, I'm your friend. I can't do this in between. Like I be hi, I'm your friend, and bye, I don't care about you. I'm sorry. Till now I want to be down like that, but I can't.
Okay.
And so and people found me very intense, to be honest. They thought like what I was bringing was too much of expectations or too much of intensity. So to rather to have to deal with it, they would just like, okay, we will not be friends only.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's some insight into how you felt a little different or away from the crowd,
Yeah.
and how you kind of express yourself differently. I want to ask you about your different problems. So let's first talk about eating disorders.
Yeah.
I know eating disorders it manifests itself in obviously a different way, eating wise, but it's at the base, it's a mental health issue, right? So tell me about that. When did you learn that it was an eating disorder they were facing? Because my experience with eating disorders is that people can't acknowledge that there's something wrong, right?
Yeah.
It's a control issue, basically, right? So tell me a little bit about your journey there.
So I didn't realize I have an eating disorder, to be honest, until like 3, 4 years back. But I had it. So what I would do since childhood was to have a sense of control, because I had no control over what's happening at the home, what's happening in the school or daycare, how people are treating me. I would literally hide my chapatis under the pillow, under the pillowcase, under the mattress, and my father would find it. And I would not eat at all. I wouldn't eat at all. You give me anything, I wouldn't eat.
So sorry for cutting you off again, but so it's interesting. So you don't eat your food because you're trying to kind of determine your control.
Yeah, situation. Yeah, through food basically. So I couldn't eat till I was in sixth standard. I was like very skinny child, extremely skinny to be honest. So one day my dad was sick and tired of all my tantrums, and he's like, "We're gonna take her to the doctor." And I was fall sick very easily because I'm not eating only. So then they put me on a medicine so that I would get my appetite. Then I started eating a lot. But I suddenly found I couldn't like my emotions I can hide with the food, and I do it till now. Like when I'm very emotional all the days, I'll order
binge eating.
Yeah, I'll order this much food while my appetite is this. I'll order 15 croissants and I will sit on it then. I'll eat 2 of it and I'm like, okay, shit. Okay, I'm in trouble. I ordered 15. So I'm dealing with something which I'm not processing.
That's interesting. So we went from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
Extreme.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And I talk about eating disorders first because eating disorders not very well known in India.
No.
It's interesting because number one, eating disorders are not well known, and then even when they're known, it's very hard to understand the eating disorders. The underlying issue is actually control. Another issue of yours is anxiety. Tell us about that.
Anxiety has been like a friend, to be honest. Anxiety and depression both. I've known them since, to be very honest, since I've known my existence. Anxiety has manifested in a way where, like, if I'm talking to you right now, I would go back and I would be like in my head for over 1 hour, making my feel self worse, thinking, oh, I might have said something wrong, or she wouldn't have liked it, or did I disrespect anyone, questioning your own self thing. So, in that way, anxiety manifested very early on where I self doubted myself a lot. I would just keep on questioning every single thing that I do, every tiny move that I make. And depression also in a similar way, was like now my therapist explained me the gateway to it. Since I was so much in the self doubt, I had no self esteem to be at that point. So I was down into that. So I was like, okay, this is it.
So it's very curious because nowadays every third word you hear is anxiety.
Yeah.
So, and as someone who gets nervous quite a bit, but doesn't have the diagnosis of anxiety, I think I want to ask you. So, when I saw you coming today, you kind of had a fit when you saw the camera, right? So I think it's just a little hard to understand.
Yes.
Right? What goes, so for example, when you saw the camera today, what went through your mind?
Oh, I'm always very shy of camera. I don't like
Shy, not gonna look good.
No, it's not about looking good. I feel like when somebody's looking at me, I forget to be myself. Like, then I'm trying to convince them, like, look at me, I'm a good child.
Yeah.
But if you meet me without the camera, I'm like more chilled version of myself, like completely an open book. Yeah, let's do this. I'm like this. I'm gonna talk the brains out. That's generally me. So, but when I see the camera, I get that nervousness that I have to behave in a certain manner, which will be perceived in a certain way. So that gives me a lot of nervousness.
So, would you say, with your anxiety in general, do you say that there are things like the camera, there are other instances that give you anxiety? Do you think you think like that is it like an observer bias and have to act a certain way, make them feel, or make me feel accepted?
Yeah. So I think I get that pressure. I would not call it pressure from anybody, but it's a conditioning also in a way where you have been conditioned. And it's a lot of self pressure where I feel like I need to be at my best always. I can't have a mistake. I can't do a mistake. I have to be the best. And I have to say the right things, or I have to behave the right way. And what is right and wrong is very subjective in nature. But like when a mass audience sees you, or when you're on camera and when someone sees you, I feel like, okay, now there's this layer that has come up and you have to act a certain way. And I feel that triggers me to a point because I feel that takes me back to my childhood where I try to fit into the mold a lot.
Yeah.
I really tried. Lord knows how hard I tried. Like, I want to be in the mold, but I could never be in the mold.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, like, I think what you said is anxiety is a gateway to depression.
Yeah.
Which is very correct, right?
Yeah.
Because in anxiety, like the camera, or with your friends, or with other situations, you overthink,
Yeah.
and that overthinking is a sure up into the depression, ruminating, right? Well, so let's talk about bipolar, which is something I believe, are you medically diagnosed?
Yes.
Okay, so bipolar has manic, which is your highs, and also depressive states, which are your lows, right? So most of us know what depressive states are, right? But what is manic states, and how do you navigate between the two, and how do you bring yourself to mainstream?
I was first diagnosed with bipolar around 6 or 7 years back. So to be honest, I wasn't aware about like what bipolar was then because it was also a very new term for me. Okay, bipolar, and it was a very scary term because they always labeled bipolar people as violent, very impulsive. You can't trust them, be away from them. So I was very scared to accept my diagnosis because I'm like, okay, now I will be labeled like this, and I'm already excluded. Now I will be excluded even more. So, but when I accepted, mania generally manifested for me in a way of a little bit high energy, People generally take whatever they need. to get high. And I was just high. I would be like impulsive, hyperactive. What usually would take me 4 hours to finish, I would do it in 1 hour. I would like my appetite would increase suddenly. I would have like crazy lot of ideas, like 10,000 ideas running at my brain in a single second. And I would be like tick, 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 multitasking all of it all together. And I felt I could do it, to be very honest, until I crashed. So in mania, you feel you're high and you feel you are the queen of the world and you can do everything possible. There's no limit at all. And you can never go wrong.
Yeah.
So that's what mania is, a little high. And I told my doctor, because they first diagnosed me with dysthymia, which is long to long range, and I'm feeling very nice. I feel like the queen of the world. My doctor said, Jahanvi, you're high. When I'm not high, I just feel very nice.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those times thinking, oh,
Yeah, and then it crashes. And then it crashed so
Like-
bad. And you can literally see, like, even as an outsider, you can see I would not eat anymore. I would completely lose my appetite. I just want to be in my bed or somewhere safe and just hide myself away from the world and be in my cocoon. I don't even have energy to get up or like even binge watch a series or a movie, which in my mania I watched maybe 10. But now I can't even like do one also. And I will feel like I describe depression for me as something as a sinking feeling that like something is pulling you down and you can do nothing to bring yourself back up. It's a very helplessness kind of feeling. So from mania to feeling like super confident and nothing can bring me down to feeling like I can't be helped anymore. So I have struggled a lot between these two phases. And sometimes during the day even, like we call it like multiple episodes. Like I have multiple episodes. It's not like this is my mania phase, now comes the depression phase. It has become better now. But during earlier times, like 6 years back, it would just happen one after another, one after another, one after another. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go crazy. Because I felt I was going crazy. No one told me I was. I was like, okay, this is too much. So when I was put on medications, I was very afraid of them because of the dependency.
Right.
But my doctor told me one very nice thing, which I will be very grateful for all this. He said, Jahanvi, I'm giving you these medications just to manage your episode and the intensity of your emotions, not to take it away from you because it can't be taken away. If it is this level, we can do it like this level. And that's what he told me, that I felt very relieved to be aware about. Okay, I can manage it because I was just getting overpowered by it.
So, but are you still on medications? And how are you managing? Because I know that especially the depressive medications and anxiety, they're pretty heavy medications, and there's an easy dependence on them. So, how do you manage your medications?
I think dependency, I don't know. It's just that I have decided right now I take a lot of therapy. I take at least therapy twice a week.
And what kind of therapy?
I am doing somatic therapy at the moment. Somatic thappy works with your body and increases the body space and releases the trauma from the body first. So it opens up. So thankfully I have a very good psychiatrist and a therapist at the moment who both, and we all three together sit together on a way, okay, I have to be self-dependent. I don't want to be forever on medication and I want to be my own person without constantly it. So my psychiatrist has encouraged me to take therapy more and take meds less. And I've also included some of Ayurvedic elements to it. Like I sometimes take ashwagandha supplements, magnesium supplements, or something which will have yes, and vitamin and relaxation. Yeah. I thought aromatherapy was a joke, but to be very honest, I've come to realization it works really well for me now. Yeah.
So ashwagandha, I've heard about. I never took that.
It really works for me.
Magnesium, I'm taking as well.
You should try Jahanvi.
So relaxing. I I'm a little off the record. I'm just a bit afraid of Ayurveda. You add some bad incidences.
Yeah.
But
I start with a very small dose to see whether it works on me or not works on me. And you need to have, I feel, a very good Ayurvedic doctor also. So I have consulted doctors, and I consult my own doctor psychiatrist also. Before going on any of my own expeditions,
Yeah.
I tell her, listen, I'm doing this. Yeah. And have you had patients who have done this before? So she will tell me, like, okay, so you can start with a micro dose and tell me what is happening to your body. How is it affecting you? Badly, positively, whatever it is doing to you. Then we'll see how to go about it. So when I told her it's working for me, she's like, go ahead, thumbs up.
I think I really applaud what you're doing because at your stage to experiment like that must be a little bit scary, because fluctuations up here is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
But experimenting, it's very courageous of I applaud you for that. Um, so all the best with that. But I want to go back to what you said about your therapy. So psychologists, that's more like talking therapy.
Yeah.
Somatic therapy more, it's more
Trauma
physical. It's more, is it like meditation or is that through talking?
It's both. It's like physical and talking. So in somatic therapy, first I have to, like, my therapist first check with my body. In the sense, how is my body? Is my body feeling heavy? Is my body feeling light? How is my energy today? So according to then we talk. If I'm already feeling very heavy, then she doesn't let me talk. Yeah, it's a joke between us, but I can't talk in therapy.
Talking oriented therapy. That's help.
Yeah.
That is helpful for you.
So I had a talking oriented therapy for 4 years, I guess, and it helped me. It really helped me. But after a point, it couldn't help me anymore. That's when I switched to somatics because the stress in my body, I feel choked like in my throat here when I get anxiety attack. I feel like somebody is literally choking me and I can't talk. I'm breathless. My heart constricts, like everything is pumping. So she's teaching me ways to like make space in the body.
So yeah. I just want to understand how, like, you kind of visualize it.
We do some exercises related to it while in the sessions. We start a session by grounding ourselves and doing little exercises, somatic exercises. Then we will delve into the issue that is coming up. And during the issue, also, if it gets too heavy for me to bear it, and my therapist can see when I'm running away, I'll be on my phone and she's like, Jahanvi, off your phone. Like, oh, you saw it. I was hiding it. She's like, what's happening? Talk to me. Like, it's getting very heavy for me to even think about it. She's like, okay, we'll come back down. We'll come back to the present. She'll make me do certain exercise to come back to the present. And then she'll always end the session by making me feel a little lighter in the body and in the mind.
So she would ask you to visualize your heart ending, something like that.
And exercises also, like sometimes you can place your hand here on the abdomen and breathe out, breathe in. And then depend on
like that, what makes you heavy, and then that's when she asks you what's going through your mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I know that relaxes me, and like when I'm heavy, she will ask me to do certain exercise in her presence.
When you say heavy, what do you mean?
So I feel heavy in a lot of ways. The first thing that automatically can tell that I'm stressed or I'm feeling depressed or I'm in a very survival mode is my gut. I get extremely bloated to a point where I have to take injections daily.
Mine,
Yeah,
very strong.
I can't digest water also at that point, so I have to take injections.
Up and down.
That is gone, That's why. So first is gut. Second, I feel it in my body, the fatigue coming. And suddenly I feel like I want to hide somewhere. I don't have the energy. My bones start paining. Then I feel the constriction in my neck, like something is choking, like I'm choking or someone is choking me. But it's not happening. I know it's not happening, but that's how it manifests in the body. And I feel, okay, so it's been choked. So that's how, these are the three major forms.
So when you get these anxieties and you feel your body closing up on you, how do you relax yourself?
So recently what I've found is ice does wonder. Ice is wonder. So what I've learned from my recent session is I take an ice cube, I just place it on my palm and I just massage it a bit. And I've also figured out like some stress relieving spots. Like if you massage from here, the stress goes out. So I'm experimented with a lot of like acupressure and like between the toes like this. It's an immediate point where like,
Really?
and this is the stress point for the grief. You can release the grief. So there are a lot of points that, and it depends from person to person. Like what might work for me might not work for you. So you have to explore your own points in body. See where you are feeling stuck and what is working for you. And I just wonder if I'm very anxious, if I'm having a breakdown, I take a bowl, I put all the ice and I dip my face, get the towel on the side and like in, out, in, out.
I wonder why your skin is so tight.
I don't know, but that helps my anxiety. That's all I know. I think after having anxiety, I don't have time for the skincare.
You know what you need?
Yeah, I am just too busy in my day controlling all this. I'm like, fuck my skin. I just want, sorry, not no questions on, please tell
Don't
me.
worry.
So just get your, anxiety clear. So I'm gonna just dip in and dip out. I'm gonna dip in, dip out. And that gives me a calm. At least calmer for 10 minutes, 20 minutes before I can do anything else. So yeah, that helps me a lot.
Okay, so let's I know you mentioned other problems that you have, but you just mentioned three big ones. And the reason I chose to discuss about those three is those three are becoming more and more popular. And when I say popular, I mean they're becoming more and more mainstream, right? Because of the digital age, whatever it is, but they're becoming more and more apparent in our culture. But there definitely are others. Right now I don't think we have time to delve into those in this episode. What I do want to discuss though is you have a partner, which is it you really need a support system when you have any kind of condition. And I know personally having a condition, it's hard, sometimes hard to find a partner who understands and who supports you through the good and the bad, right?
Yeah.
Highlighting the bad. So tell me about that. How does he support you?
Yeah, so I think when initially I met my partner, he wasn't aware about all these conditions. So for him, it was very, let's say, a foreign district he entered. And I made him very aware, like, okay, this is not going to go. Okay, you're dating someone now. This is not going to go. So be very conscious. If you're going to go, go. But he said, no, I'm going to stay here. So he actually enrolled himself in a couple of courses. Like he's got into a caregiver support group.
Okay.
And that was really helpful because I was feeling guilty of putting the burden on him,
Right.
There's always a guilt in you. My partner has to suffer, even he has to sometimes cancel his office because I'm having a breakdown or something that has to happen or I'm in the hospital. So then he started getting aware about it. He also got enrolled in therapy. Not only because he doesn't have any issue, I got him checked, to be honest. I was like, does he have any issues? And only when the doctor said he has none, I go, oh shit, I'm not with them.
Yeah, that's what I'm serious.
Yeah, I really got him checked. When I got it's just me now, they've been, yes. So he takes therapy just to become a better version of himself, not because he has some problems, and also how to support me. Because I really, really believe, because I did research on caregivers, and it can be a huge burden on caregivers how to navigate such difficult emotions, how to navigate personal suicidal, how to navigate seeing your loved one going through a mess and a mess in the front of you and you feel helpless. So he takes therapy, he is with the caregiver support, and beside my partners, I have amazing, a close knit, small number, but friends who, when he can't do it, when he's overwhelmed also by it, they step in and they're like, and they are very good friends, I say, because they tell me for what is. Sometimes when I'm too much acting, I'm like, shut up and sit. He's okay, okay?
How do you feel about how do you feel about like your family? When you're in an inferior position, right? When you're needy, people tend to coddle you. Oh, bachara, oh, you're bothering us right now. Oh, it's okay that, that's part of, how do you manage that? And do you think that's helpful? Or like what you just said, what your friends do, it is what it is. Just shut up and do your,
Yeah.
Or which approach do you think is?
I think it depends upon the situation sometimes, to be very honest. Sometimes I need to be coddled. I want to be coddled. I won't say need. I want to be coddled. I want to be pampered. And I would send a list out, to be very honest. Like today, I sent my list out to my father. Bring me those flowers, bring me this and this. I need to be pampered today, okay? I'm having my PMS, so get me the shit done. Sometimes I need the straight up because my anxiety is ruining the reality and my depression is ruining my reality. And I feel everyone is against me. Sometimes I want them to come and say, no, Jahanvi, this is not the truth. We have seen it, we know the truth. And I trust them. So it depends on situation to situation, but I feel being honest is always, and being kind, being honest and kind, not coddling or not sympathizing, but being empathetic. What's the best approach?
Okay. So when your friends talk to you, say straight up, Jahanvi, this is how it is, do you ever feel like taken aback?
Yeah, always, almost every day.
And do you ever feel like if that with that friend, well, you're going through something, you're anxious, and I say, no, Jahanvi, this is how it is, that's incorrect. That's the wrong way of thinking.
Yeah.
Would you ever feel taken back with me?
Yeah, I think that does happen, but thankfully, I have friends who have also had bipolar.
Okay.
So they are very, and who have like mental health challenges.
Okay.
So they are very sensitive in their language. They know how to come around me. They know how to handle me. They won't say very outrightly to me because they know that I can get hit by it very badly. So they approach it very gently. And even when they're being honest, and if I don't like it, thankfully, touch wood, I'm very grateful for the friends I have. We can go back and have that conversation. Hey, listen, what you said, I felt hurt by it. And then they clarify, okay, this is what I mean. This was my intention. I'm sorry if that was hurt. I'm like, okay, we're back to besties. Okay, what are we doing tomorrow?
Okay.
That's it. That's it. And I think that's the best friendship where you can go and ask them, okay, if I'm not taking that hurt with me to my grave, I'm asking them upfront and they're acknowledging it. And they're just saying, okay, sorry. And that's all you need.
So in anxiety, do you feel a hesitancy to talk about your emotions, your feelings?
Yeah, I think during my anxiety, I'm very clouded by I don't like to call positive and negative, but thoughts which are self-deprecating. So I'm very clouded. I'm very harsh towards myself, and I feel everyone is harsh towards me because I'm doing myself like that.
So in your episodes of anxiety, do you, for example, your partner, do you ever have any conflicting thoughts about him?
Of course, every day. Every day I have it. Every day I will be like, no, I married wrong. I think this was not supposed to be.
Well, that's an absolute.
And every day I'll go, oh, I think he's the best guy I've found in the world, and navigate between. And then when I get too confused, I call my friends. Is he the best guy? Are you sure? I told you to check on him. No, isn't it? Like, he's fine. You said we are having an episode again.
Yeah, that's an asshole for a girl. Now, saying when you have their episode, so you question yourself, your own judgment, anxiety, right?
Yeah.
But do you ever then question his judgment?
Yeah, of course. I question everything. So then I think my friends who have known me for like 11 years or 12 years, they come in play. And sometimes when I question everyone's judgment, I know one or two people who I listen to. I directly go to them. I tell them, this was a wonderful friend of mine, Cass. I just would go to her. She also suffers from major health struggles. And I would tell her, show my chats to her. What do you see? She's like, go and make up your mind. What do you want?
Because I see a lot of, when you go through anxiety, I see a lot of fickle. It's like pull
and push.
Hold, right?
Yeah.
So do you hear that song by Katy Perry?
Yeah,
that is so typical for something.
Yeah.
Yes. Then next one, no.
Yeah.
And so okay.
But the only thing that I think that helped me overcome all this is that he has been my side. He hasn't left.
Yeah, I think
That's the
important.
biggest, yeah, that's the biggest thing. If any other person, they don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I always told him it was his choice. He doesn't have to. And I made him aware that it will be very messy. It will be like this. I will be like this. So please, if you don't feel you're up to it, I have no disrespect for you, no disregard. Please, I understand how difficult it can be to be with me. I know that. But he has never, like, we have fights every day. Of course, you see this beautiful mind goes up and down, up and down. So one day I'm like, oh, he's the best human. Oh, I love him. And we go, yeah. So, but he never leaves you,
Yeah.
Even in your worst, he will never leave you. And that for me has been very a safety thing. And seeing him like he's still there. Like if he needs his time, we have he's there. I'm like, okay, then I think I made some right judgment. He's still standing. So
I just want to close that subject by saying you're very lucky. I know how important that support and solidarity is for someone who is more your age, can understand you rather than your family, right?
Yeah.
So I'm
very grateful. That's what I am very grateful for my friends and my partner.
So Jahanvi, I just want to go back. You mentioned the word crazy. Can you talk to me about that and how you feel when? Because sometimes some people the word crazy is very touchy.
Yeah.
And especially when you have a mental health issue, people don't take well to that word. So tell me about your relationship, your journey with that word.
So I think it's a very touchy word even for me, even till now. Because I don't think people in general lack awareness about mental health issues. And there has also come a time now where people are using mental health issues as adjectives. Like, oh, I'm having mood swings, I have bipolar, I'm depressed. I'm like, no, this is not what depression is, dude. This is not what bipolar is. And when people call you crazy, when I was called crazy since childhood, when I wasn't aware about the broad spectrum of it meaning, what I was aware by my dictionary or by my peers or the surrounding was crazy means insane. Someone who has lost his or her mind.
Right.
And they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know how they're behaving. So I have been labeled crazy whole my life because I was just unabashedly myself. And I didn't know how to become anyone else.
Right.
So, they called me crazy and excluded me from people, from peers, from society. Everyone just excluded me and called me crazy. And I couldn't understand what was so crazy about me. That I can go and watch a movie alone. Does that make me crazy? Or do I speak my mind? Does that make me crazy? So what is so crazy about me? So that word kind of stick with me a lot and triggers me a lot because I'm not of insane mind. To be honest, I have quite a high intellect, both emotional and brain.
And helpful. So because you're right. And the word crazy is used as is used in passing quite a bit, even today, right?
Yeah.
And me, I get confused because I know the literal meaning of it, right? I know how it can hurt, but then I also hear people using it while marking the year late. If I get confused, I'm like, okay, what's the right term to use, So
it's also the tone in which you speak. It's said sometimes people are like, hey, she's crazy, she can do this, she's adventurous. Sometimes you're like, oh, she's crazy, stay away.
Yeah.
So a tone, I feel the first tone matters a lot. And how you address someone, either it's with the affection or either it's with the purpose of exclusion or a judgment, that defines a lot.
Okay. Yes, I think that that's true even for because there's a lot of language even in the physical disability realm that people find very touchy.
Yeah,
right. Where with deaf, blind, or wheelchair user, even those disability versus differently able. So there's a lot of conversation going on there. Let's not get into it, but there's a lot of language across the board. So the last question to close up our session today, I want to ask you is, as a mental health advocate yourself, you've been through quite a bit now called invisible disabilities, because it definitely disabled you.
Yeah.
When you're going through these episodes. What words can you give someone who's going through some of these issues, any of these issues, all of these issues?
I would ask you, if it is something very serious, please take help. Taking help doesn't make you weak, doesn't make you mad, doesn't make you crazy. Reach out for support always. If you can't, Happy Heads Club is always with you. So reach out to me if you want. And I would ask, actually, peers also, friends, please check in with your friends, especially the strong friends. You never know what anyone is going through, and even leaving a text simply saying, "How are you really doing?" sending you a hug can mean a difference in someone's words. So please check in with your friends, and please, I can assure you there is hope. Trust me, I tried. There is hope. It is actual thing. It exists. Yeah, I tried not to fall into this trap, but now I'm into this trap. There's hope, and you will get better. Take your whatever suits you, whether medication, whether therapy, whether Ayurveda, whatever suits you. Take whatever is needed without any shame or guilt, because you need it, you deserve it, and you deserve to live your best life. That's it for yourself.
Jahanvi, I really want to thank you for being with us today
Thank you so
and
much.
sharing your story. So Jahanvi is with us today again. I want to thank her for being with us.
Thank you.
A very courageous and boldly beyond limit story that you definitely want to hear. Being through so many invisible disabilities herself. I just touched upon the three ones that I found interesting for today's discussion, which is anxiety, depression, and bipolar, which is definitely debilitating. And the way Jahanvi navigates it till today is truly inspiring. So if you need help, please seek a medical professional. There's always Jahanvi's self-help group to help you. Happy Head, what is it?
Happy Heads Club.
And you're found on Twitter, correct?
Yeah, it's Twitter and Instagram. I'm both. So I feel like people are more open when they are into like selectively, they can DM you. And it has become a point where people DM me and say, "I'm going through this. Can you suggest me a therapist?" That is the proudest moment of my day.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I have the resource list. I'm sending it out. I can't be a therapist, but I have the resource list.
Do reach out to Jahanvi. I'm always here to direct people if they need help too, Jahanvi. And I hope you found this episode of our story today inspiring and helpful.